All right. What do I put on today? Some lo-fi. Nope, why is that not working? Oof. Hey, Spotify's closed again. I literally just had it open. All right, guys. One day I won't be scuffed. One day I'm going to just pop on and everything's just going to work. Today's not that day, but one day that will be the day. One day that'll be the day. Whatever. Are my headphones even on? Yeah. I am having audio problems. Give me 1 second here. I don't think I actually had audio problems, maybe. It might have just been me problems. Can you guys hear very well, or what's going on your end? Having some interesting stuff with my Stream Deck, trying to make sure everything's not screwing up. Alright, that looks fine, I guess. Let's test the soundboard out, huh? Let's, y'all hear that? Alright, good. I think we're good. How's everybody doing? Y'all feeling good? Y'all have a good Memorial Day weekend, those of you coming from the United States. Good old 3-day weekend, lots of grilling, lots of chilling, lots of shilling. Lots of shilling. Always lots of shilling in this space. I don't know what's up with that. I mean, I do know what's up with that. Money, makes the world go around. But, yeah, I had a pretty good weekend. Did a little karaoke. It was nice. It's nice. I always love doing a little karaoke. Some of you may not know, but I am actually quite a singer. One day, maybe I'll bust out your eardrums. Maybe today's that day. Who knows? I could just start singing right now. But then that wouldn't be fair to the people who show up late. Anyway, thank you. I like this shirt. I've been upgrading my flannel shirts. Literally, I have a self-imposed uniform. Everybody else is like, oh, I'm gonna dress differently every day. I'm like, I know what works for me. I'll go with that. Like, I'll take a shirt over a t-shirt, half on buttons, and flannelist shirt, and black hat. Used to have a ton of like different like Marvel character black hats. I still have them. They just all look really grody at this point. Need to update my collection. Become a fan of Vans. It's the only shoes I wear, so guess I'm sporting that brand now. Anyway, how you guys doing? Hope you're doing great. What's up, Acid Burn? Acid does burn. Acid burn does burn. Moonboy 9001 9001 and Junkrat Moses. Very nice to have you guys back on the stream. It's great to have regulars. I appreciate you all. One love. Sangren, hello. Thank you for coming on again. And thank you for being such a loyal subscriber. I appreciate it. So guys, it is Avalanche Ecosystem Tuesday. I randomly just picked like Avalanche Ecosystem Tuesday. I don't know if it's the right day to do that. I plan on doing some like testing, maybe shake those days around a bit. But I don't want to do that like randomly. I want to give myself a nice bit of data points to actually work off of first, set a nice baseline to make sure that that everything's kind of like, you know, stable and I know what to expect on any given kind of day. And then I have something to compare against. So this is only week 3 of this stream. It's probably better I remain consistent for a little while. But oh my God, chill bro, fist bump, yes. Give me that Prime sub. Appreciate ya. Really do appreciate it. It helps with the social rank. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not doing this for like the money. If there's somebody you think deserves the Prime sub, I totally get why you'd give it to somebody else. But the subscriptions really help get the message out for Avalanche, and it really does help boost that social rank so other people will kind of take notice and look. So by giving the sub to me, you're giving the sub to the Avalanche network, which in turn pays the network, which if you are a token holder, pays you. It's one way to look at it. Little mental gymnastics there, but it got to the point, you know? It got to the point. Paying me pays you. I mean, that's just how it works. This is totally not a pyramid scheme, I swear. No MLM, no marketing, no Amway, I promise you. But, yeah, welcome to the stream. Thank you again for subbing. Show me that sub and loving. So you want to give me a second here. I will hop on to my share screen really quick. So it is Avalanche Ecosystem Tuesday. It's Avalanche Tuesday. And as usual, the only thing I do for this day is to start off with the news. And it's been kind of a light news week, to be honest with you, which for me is not great because I got to fill up 2 hours. But I think some of the news that did come in is fun and interesting. So really happy about that. One item in particular, which I'm just going to go ahead and kick off with, is, well, am I? Well, first off, actually, let's just point out how amazing, the Week in Avalanche highlights are and how helpful it is for us to have that. So thank you to the Avalanche comms team and marketing for putting that together. It's very useful information for me because I don't want to sit around reading this stuff all day. It's nice to have a curated list of things from the people actively involved in it. So I really appreciate your work as always. Yeah, it's fantastic. Same with like Patrick O'Grady, who does the same stuff for tech. Like anytime you have these digests of information, it really helps content creators, kind of get an idea of what's going on in the space. Now, some of this we've already talked about before, like the top stuff. We don't need to go over that again. But I do think it's really cool to note that Avalanche has reached 100K AVAX burn. So I want to take a time out for a second to really talk about why that's good for the whole network. A lot of people hear burn. A lot of people who are in the space are not in it to really go into like the economics of it. And I'll just be frank with you. I'm one of those people. I don't do huge, deep economic analysis. I definitely don't do any of that technical stuff with the rainbow charts. But I do know this. There's a limited supply in the network, and the only thing that changes is the amount of fees burned on the network. Now, with a lot of networks, the way it works is the fees go to the block producer, for instance, okay? Avalanche, since day one, the fees have always been burned. And what that means, if you hold a token and the fees in the network are burned, the value of that token goes up if the supply is capped, right? So these 100K AVAX increases the scarcity of the token itself, okay? And by increasing the scarcity of the token, it increases the value of the tokens that you're currently holding. So really, really great to see that 100K has already been... What is the price on 100K AVAX? Let's look that up real quick. So the current... Well, let's just do this way. CoinGecko, since they gave us some... boop, 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 boop. Also, just to be clear, the reason we're at this is because this rank is because most of the tokens are still unlocked right now. I'm sorry, are still locked right now, and as they unlock, it increases the circulating supply. So when the circulating supply goes up, it's basically going to boost our rank, and that happens on a schedule, and I believe that June 9th is the next unlock, so that's coming up here, guys. So definitely look out for that. There will be an unlock again on June 9th for AVAX tokens, which means the tokens that happen in the sale will be unlocked yet again. Largest meat packer, JBS hit by ransomware attack. What is this? Acid does burn. You're a regular here, so I'm being cool, but why is that a advertisement in the chat? Give me 1 second. I don't know what that is, and I don't want my chat to be filled with a bunch of links. I thought that I blocked that. I'll worry about that next time, but sorry, I need to figure out how to handle this stuff real quick. Again, it's just me, so if you do things that I don't like, it takes time out of the stream for me to handle it. How do I delete a chat? I guess I just gotta silence you, man. Hate to do it. It's the only way I know how to do. Timeout. Dude, where is the button for that? I totally did that last time. Actually, this is a problem I need to solve. I'm sorry, guys, if this is a scuff stream, but... there we go. So I have to do that, man. Sorry. I love that you're keeping us current and stuff, but I need to set a precedence. I'm sorry that it's you. I really am. I really am, man. I really hate doing that stuff. I do. But, and I know you meant well. You can just talk about it. You know, you sent a Telegram message, which is kind of frustrating for me, too, because, like, I can't click into that while I'm on stream. But in addition, like, it didn't seem like... You know what? Maybe I was a little harsh there. I'm going to think about my policy on that. I don't know. I'll have to really think about that. But, you know... That wasn't even, like, crypto related. So, alright, well, now I'm feeling guilty. But we'll get past it, okay? We'll work through this. You'll still love me, I promise. We'll get past this. Okay. Anyway, so let's take the price. So you got this price of, let's just say $17.64 right now. Multiply that. I'm just putting a dollar sign in front of that to be cool. Multiply that by 100,000. And that is the dollar amount that's been burned in the network. So 1.764 million US dollars has been burned. Like, it's just completely destroyed, you know. And yeah, guys, I'm sorry. So I got this balance of just wanting to be a good guy and a nice guy to people and have people like feel comfortable here, and like also making sure things are just kind of like kept topic oriented. And you know, I don't want to, I have to look at what's going to happen in the future when I set rules rather than just what happens right now. And so, you know, he's a very good participant, and that's what breaks my heart. So I didn't want to have to do it to him. but it is what it is. So anyway, $1.764 million in US has been burned on our network already. That's pretty dope, you know? That's $1 billion in 2023. I'm inclined to agree. I think if you look long-term on Avalanche, you know, like that, that's a lot of money that's being burned. This is a scarce token, a scarce deflationary asset. So, yeah, it's going to be this is good for the network. It basically pays everybody who's in the network every time a fee is burned. So that's exciting news. I really love that stuff. Next thing I want to talk to you about is Lee Schneider joining the Ava Labs official team, or the Ava Labs team as general counsel. Now, generally, like a lawyer, especially one who's not really socially, you know, doesn't have a big social profile, it's like not that big a deal. But this guy is previous general counsel for Peter Thiel's blockchain Block One LLC company. So the interesting thing about that I want to do is like do a little red string between photos kind of work here and point out something, okay? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Also, I want to be very clear. I have no insider information. I left Ava Labs. I lost my entire like funnel for that stuff. And I don't have any previous information about this, which is why I can talk about it now, okay? The reason I could say I could make these little red strings between photos is because I don't have information prior to Ava Labs. So this is not insider information. It's just something really interesting to notice, okay? So Schneider was general counsel for Block One, which is Peter Thiel-backed software company, right? So there's connections with Peter Thiel there. Then you go to, for those who don't know, Peter Thiel is a former CEO of PayPal, part of the PayPal mafia, and now he's CEO of Palantir. Palantir is also a company that some of the guys for Kurtosis came from Palantir. So that's an interesting thing to kind of connect. But in general, though, like Peter Thiel is just known as the guy who does Palantir now. He used to be CEO of PayPal before they sold to eBay. Okay, Thiel's also been a heavy investor in crypto. With very early on, I want to say like 2016. Might have been earlier. Vitalik Buterin was a Peter Thiel Fellowship recipient. I think is the word Thiel Fellow. Thiel Fellowship recipient. And so so he's an interesting guy. Clearly, he's still got ties in the space. One of the things to know about PayPal is their original use case, their original desired goal when they started the company. Now, mind you, they pivoted a lot because they had to, okay? But the original goal behind this whole group was to create a competitor to the US dollar. Now, Peter Thiel is an extremely conservative man. He's actually, well, not extremely conservative, but he's on the conservative side of the spectrum. And, he's very libertarian, I guess is more like the word for it. He's been very into a lot of let's just say alternative methods of financing, and I think he's been very interested in the crypto space for a long time. So he's definitely aware of what goes on in this space and probably gets regular reports. He's also aware of the limitations of the technology prior, and he has the right kind of tools and information funnels to actually understand that information. He's surrounded himself with the right people. So, Peter Thiel has been heavily involved in cryptocurrency. One thing I also want to point out is that PayPal is reportedly in talks with Ava Labs on a stablecoin launch. So if you go from the 90s dream of a competitor to the US dollar all the way up to today, it almost seems like the dots are starting to connect for that dream. Because a stablecoin on Avalanche could actually handle the scale of the systems that they would need to build. Whereas Bitcoin couldn't, and prior consensus protocols relating to classical consensus protocols could not handle that scale required to build that sort of like financial infrastructure for a U.S. digital dollar, right? I think that's even what they called it, as a digital dollar back then. So really interesting stuff. Very cool to see all those dots start to connect. And, I think there's something there. So, we'll see where it goes, especially when you consider that Goon has spoken so much on the subject of stablecoin design. I think that this has always been sort of in the back of the minds of a lot of people. I think that ultimately a U.S. digital dollar is going to be good for the economy. I mean, it's hard to justify that right now when things are so wonky. But any platform-like infrastructure where there's removal of gatekeepers has shown to be a tremendous boost in productivity and effectiveness and rapid iteration. And one of the biggest walled gardens is Wall Street. That's not to say that in the Federal Reserve and how they do things and the monetary policy that's surrounding that. And not to say that this would be an attack on that, but it would be a great new tool in their tool belt, because guaranteed they're going to have, participatory voice in that. But I do think that U.S. digital dollar is something that's going to happen eventually. And I do also truly believe that Avalanche is the only thing that can truly support it. So it's not a shock to me that PayPal would be on this, especially they used to be part of the Libra Council. They left that, which is interesting too, because Peter Thiel's also a early and heavy owner of shares in Facebook. So he is an early investor in Facebook, and they tried to do this with Libra, now called Diem, and were unable to get it off the ground due to regulation and stuff. They also had a problem with their consensus protocol still with that. So their consensus protocol that was running on Libra was Hot Stuff. Hot Stuff was designed, built by Dahlia Malki and Ted Yin. Ted is the chief protocol architect at Ava Labs and a representative for Ava Labs in China. He designed Hot Stuff. He's first author on that paper. So Facebook, and Dahlia works for Facebook. So these are experts in consensus protocols. They had problems with Libra in that they could only have 100 seats. This made it basically a cabal. You had to pay to win on that. You had to pay to participate, pay to play. That's not good. It's not a decentralized system at that point. Not everybody gets to. It's not democratic at all. It's a cabal. So a lot of people didn't like that aspect of Libra, but there was no choice. In order to get the throughput that you needed, you had to restrict the number of nodes in the network to 100. That's just the way that classical consensus protocols work. So it wasn't like they were doing it intentionally. They just didn't have a choice, right? Well, Avalanche doesn't have that restriction. You can have an unlimited number of nodes or no known limit of nodes in the network, right? So I think that it's an obvious choice for people who've been looking into, the crypto space and looking into consensus protocols for decades, trying to find a solution for a U.S. digital dollar. They're going to want to look at Ava Labs. So it's not a shock they're talking to Ava Labs. It's not a shock that PayPal is reportedly in talks with Ava Labs because, but when you string it all together, I mean, the general counsel of a Thiel-backed blockchain software company is now general counsel of Ava Labs, right? Trace it all the way through the history of what the goal of PayPal has been, and now PayPal is reportedly talking to Ava Labs, and the original CEO of PayPal is Peter Thiel, and there's all this connection going on here, which really indicates that there may be a bigger thing going on. And I do think that with the stablecoin research that Goon's been doing, and for instance, with Buy Lira, trying to create a Turkish lira stablecoin, it's a great test economy. First off, Turkey loves crypto and they love Goon. He has an in there. So a great way to test this concept out and the technology behind it is to do it in a country that is amenable to doing it because their economy needs that kind of work. Now, they've had other problems where centralized exchanges have been kicked out of Turkey and yada, yada, yada. But it's a really good it's a really good strategy. Whether or not it played out, it's a good strategy if you're going to make this kind of play. So to me, ultimately, it looks like the Avalanche protocol would be the foundation for a stablecoin for the US dollar, a US digital dollar. It's the only thing that can handle it. So very exciting stuff. Very, very interesting to see that Mr. Schneider's coming on, Esquire, is coming on as general counsel for Ava Labs. Very happy to see that. Whether or not it means what I think it means, who knows? You know, I'm not an insider. I don't have that information for you. I can only say that, you know, based off of everything I know, it's not unreasonable to think that might be the case. And again, nothing I say is trading advice. I don't say that enough, probably. Nothing I say or tell you is trading advice. Like, I don't know I have been wrong so many times about the AVAX coin. What I'm talking about is the infrastructure and the overall platform and long-term vision of what's going on in the ecosystem. I can't tell you if a particular token on the network is going to succeed. I can't tell you if a particular DAO is a good thing to get involved in. I can't tell you if a new VM is sweet. I mean, I might be able to look at it from a technical perspective. I can't tell you if it's going to be successful. Like, I can't predict anything, and I don't want to. But I can point you in the direction of things that might help increase the amount of evidence you have to make your own personal decisions. And you know, one of those things that's interesting to me is the relationship between Peter Thiel and Ava Labs seems to be increasing in weight. So, yeah, look into that. Keep your eye open. Keep that on the radar. You know. All right, cool. So I am going to see. Is there anything else there? Yeah. Let's go with the margin swap stuff. So margin swap protocol is been launched for on a leveraged AMM. Now, I'm not a DeFi guy, so I don't know the implications of this. From my knowledge, I thought that's kind of what like Benki was. So I don't know though. So like maybe some other people can help you understand that a little better than me. But I did want to point it out because you know, it's good to keep the news going. See, apologies if you covered this before. Are you able to discuss why you left Ava Labs? Yeah, sure. I have no problems with that. It was burnout. It was extreme burnout. So I don't like. I was told to slow down, and I didn't. But I was working day and night, 24/7. I don't mean that metaphorically. I mean, like, if something happened in the middle of the night, which it had before, I'd have to get up and handle it. I was working from, like, let's just say approximately 9 a.m. Sometimes earlier, like if I had to meet with some folks in Korea. But, like, you know, approximately 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. almost every day. And if I took time off to do, like, just, like, play a video game, like I wanted to play, what's that game? Ghosts of Tsushima, I forget now, that samurai game. Like if I would to do like that for a couple hours before bed, like I felt super guilty. Like it was a lot of work to get a protocol from 0 to 1 in the time frame that we did. Not only that, but I had just moved to New York City where I don't really know anybody, and I moved to work with people that I don't really know. I didn't know Goon all that well. I didn't know Kevin or Steven. I met them on the job. And it was a lot of stress to be away from everybody that I knew in a city that really didn't vibe with me. You know, to work that hard to get something off the ground, it became too much. And I eventually just had to just say, okay, there's too much on my plate. I don't see this changing. I need to move on. Furthermore, like when you get to that point, you start hurting relationships around you with people because you are tired all the time and you're exhausted and you're stressed. So you start snapping at people and it becomes problematic and you become the problem. The only way to fix that is to really leave. I mean that. It's very difficult for somebody who is in my position to continue working for the company without them throwing things your way constantly. And it was just, that was just the way it was. You know, I've actually been down this road before. This is my third burnout. Like, this is literally my third burnout in life. this is by far the worst, but it was definitely my third burnout. It takes a long time to recover for it. But at the end of every burnout, there's always a success. I've never burned out without a success. So I'm very happy for the work that I did. I'm very proud of what we've done and accomplished. But me leaving Ava Labs had nothing to do with Ava Labs and had everything to do with me taking on too much again. So, they were graceful about it, and we parted ways well. Obviously, like Tyler's in here, we're good people. Everybody likes each other. We're all copacetic. I mean, we don't always agree. Like, that's kind of the way things work. People are messy, but that doesn't mean that we don't work out in the long run. So yeah, it's totally cool. I don't have any plans on joining Ava Labs or even trying to. I like doing this. This is what got me the job in the first place. I had a podcast called Hashing It Out. Hashing It Out was the most fun out of my day. Like, it was the thing I did that I loved the most, and now I've got like this off year and I can do that again. So I'm building another audience and starting fresh and really building the brand around Ava Labs, and myself, obviously. But this is what I want to do. So, I did 2 interviews with Goon, and the first one I didn't believe him, not at all. Not at all. It's probably not correct. I didn't believe him enough. Let me put it that way. I was just like, this sounds too good to be true. No way. But by the second time, also, I didn't have enough information myself to gauge. Like, I was still early in the podcast. I think that was like episode 18 or I don't know. Hey, welcome AVAX, Ben. But basically, I the second time was like our 50th episode, and I had him on, and right after that episode, I asked him directly, I want to work for you. And he did. I'm gonna do my best Goon impression. I'd love to have you work for me. And I was like, okay, cool. So it was cool. I sold my house. I moved to New York City. But yeah, I sold my house. I was gonna do that anyway, though. But like, I sold my house and moved to New York City. I met the crew, and that was how that went. It was pretty cool. It was stressful as hell. I think I gained like 45 pounds while I was in New York City. You look at the pictures of me, I'm lower than I was then. I still got some more to shed, like, clearly, but like, I put on a ton of weight in New York City. Like, it was stress eating all over the place, and also just not moving because I was in front of a desk all day. But it was a lot of work. We got it done, though. We got it done. Like, I'm so proud of the fact we got it done. I'm not individually proud of my own work just because I know it could always be better, but we got it done. That I'm proud of. It was a team effort. We lifted a heavy weight on our shoulders, and we got it done in a very, very, very difficult time frame, in my opinion. It's funny, when I showed up to Ava Labs, there was a number on the board, and Kevin pointed to it and said, "This is how long you have to develop a test net." It was 40 days. So I showed up, and he was like, "Yeah, you have 40 days to develop a test net." And I was like, "That's not happening. There's no way this is happening. We're not creating a public test net in 40 days." And he was like, "Well, you got to make it happen anyway." So of course we burned ourselves out trying to make that 40-day deadline happen. And of course it didn't, because you can't do that. But it's dang, Tyler, you just gifting subs all over the place, brother. Appreciate it. Congratulations on the sub, AVAX, Ben. So yeah, I mean, basically, what was I gonna say? There's no way we could do that. I mean, I knew it. We got mostly of a test net done, I'd say, by February. And that was with a lot of changes. So, Goon came in and saw that we had to change the way they were doing some things. So we made those changes. By February, I think those changes were mostly complete. And in like March, I think we're ready to release a testnet. But that, I got there August 2019. It said 40 days from now. So that was like October. We wanted to have a testnet up before, I think, Denver? Was it? No, ETHCon, whatever. But yeah, instead we did have an early version of Ethereum, which is the clone of, it's basically the C chain. Like, that's what it was. So, well, a subscription is basically you get alerts from me, and you're kind of like donating to me every month. But technically, Tyler donated on your behalf. And that gives you some extra perks and bonuses, such as certain emotes that you can do that other people can't do. If you checked it out, guys, I actually added emotes to the stream. So let's see. We got Colin68 Chungus. How's this? Yeet. And then you got Colin Law. So narcissistic. Colin Saucon. And, you know, some Avalanche ones, you know. Got some new emotes, bro. Did you see AVAX was trending earlier today on business finance with 14.1k tweets? No, I did not. That's really cool. I'm really happy that's going on. Like, the marketing's stepping up. Like, we're pretty awesome. The ecosystem's robust. It's just early. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, I watched Ethereum's rise, because I got in early on Ethereum. I was following that project real early before they were released. And I wasn't even into crypto, by the way. Zero interest in crypto. Owned 0 Bitcoin. I bought my first Bitcoin so I could buy Ethereum. But yeah, it's like we're going through the same trends. Like, if you look at the Ethereum's exploding, like how Ethereum went their meteoric rise, like they went through the exact same patterns, the same up and downs. Like, I mean, like, I bought it $2. I remember being so stoked it was $10. And then so disappointed when it was $20, not more than 3 months later. It's just how it goes, you know? Then you add on top of that all the new platforms and stuff and the promises. I will say there's one big difference between Ethereum's rise and Avalanche's rise, is that Ethereum early on was all about experiments, trying new things. You'd hear things like, you know, Gnosis and was it Aragon or whatever. Those markets, what are they called? Gambling, basically. Prediction markets. And then you'd hear about things like, oh shucks, there was a lot of early projects that just, Golem. Golem was a big one. Golem was a big project that I thought had teeth until now. I understand why it didn't. But at the time, I didn't know better. So, yeah, I mean, like, there was a lot of experimentation going on in that time. And the reason for that, I think, is because a lot of the things that they thought were possible, there was a lot of things that people thought were possible back then they didn't know it wasn't. So they tried it and it didn't work. Now we know it's possible, but the problem is scale. So Avalanche is taking the possible and making it scale, basically. That's why you see a lot of these copycat projects. It's because they've already been audited. They already exist. It's just bring them to the platform that actually scales it, you know? So I understand why that's going on. It's a little frustrating, though. I do miss the thought leadership aspect that Ethereum had early on. Yeah, feels like Avalanche doesn't have as much mind share. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say there. Like, I think everybody sort of knows what Avalanche is. So, whether or not they want to jump in or not, I don't know what that's about. For me, I know that a lot of the stuff I would even consider doing would require an open and permissionless subnet with a stakeable token. So until that stuff sort of launches, I wouldn't even probably work on a project personally. Just because why would I get wrapped up in something if I know that the cool thing is coming down the road? That's just the way I am, right? Whereas other people are kind of like, yeah, I just want to make things good now, which you totally can. All you got to do is take the existing infrastructure and move it over to Avalanche, and you've literally just done very little work and it's gotten huge rewards. So highly recommend that to anybody who can. You know, it's a different ecosystem, but you're gonna have a long-term gain on that. So yeah, I mean, that's probably what's going on here with margin swap. I don't know. Like, I haven't looked into it, but like a lot of this stuff is very, very similar to what's been done on Avalanche, but it's good and it's tested and it's just as robust and it works on a platform that just is faster. So yeah, that's cool. Like to see that happening. Also, we got some news about Mexico's most popular soccer club. I bet you Ricardo's behind this. I wouldn't be surprised. But they've issued some NFTs on Avalanche, which is super cool. Super cool. Actually, Mexico's been pretty receptive to the whole Avalanche ecosystem. Yeah, I think they're looking for radical change, and they're looking for a thing that could kind of give them an advantage and a leg up, in the world economy. And so far there's been a lot of good experimentation coming out of Mexico. they've been more risk taking, I think, than a lot of folks have been in the U.S. So yeah, I think that's really cool. I think this is a great example of that. Major props to you guys for doing that. So I wanted to know what this was. So I came on this. So what I do is I typically go through the Twitter feed, and then I go to AVAX projects, which is a really cool URL. You should check this place out. So AVAX projects, very cool. They've added some buttons down here from the last time that I did this. You can click the logos button. It'll show you all the logos of everything that's coming out of the network. Dude, this is a lot. Like, why? Like, anybody who's like, nobody uses Avalanche is on crack. This is amazing. Look at this. We've got big names too, like Ledger's integrated with us fully. Let's see. You know, we've got we got some innovative stuff here with ILOs. We'll see where that goes. I still haven't seen how that's going to play out, but that's cool. Like, these are all really interesting projects. We got some hardware stuff with Avado, by the way. If you haven't looked into Avado, you totally should. Let me go over that in a little bit. Like, there's some really good stuff going on here. So, like, definitely go through these projects. There's a lot that can be talked about here. Very interesting stuff. We should probably revisit some of these, because it's been a while since I've gone through a lot of that stuff as well. So yeah, I mean, like, latest. Crypto Monkey Empire seemed really interesting to me. This blurb kind of caught my eye, so I'll read it to you really quick. Crypto Monkey Empire on Avalanche, the MMO where you attack and steal other players' cryptocurrency. What in the hell? We go ape on other players? Are monkeys apes? No, they're not apes. They're monkeys. I have a feeling. So, yeah, I didn't take a lot of biology. So anyway, you go monkey on them, I guess. So let's open this up and take a look at what they did here, because I haven't like. See, this is one feedback I should probably send to or Dynamo, is that this info button being up here. Like, I just want to click something here. And like, for instance, I'm going to click gaming and go to the gaming topic. I don't like this info button because it's not obvious. Like, if I click there, I want to just open the thing. Anyway, Crypto Monkey Empire, loot monkeys, ride Lambos. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? They got a white paper. That's pretty cool. The downloads are coming soon. We got a Windows pre-alpha. Guys, I'm not downloading anything on my computer. I'm not. I'm sorry. Like, I can't do that. I gotta, like, I have another computer I could do that on. This is not it. But you never know in this space, right? You never know what you're going to download. And it's like, oh, yeah, this is cool. And then it's like Virus City. And now I've got to, like, my computer's completely encrypted. My hard drive's completely encrypted. But yeah, no, this is interesting. Discover the gameplay. Can I watch a video on it? What is this? Monkey coin mining only occurs inside the game with a monkey coin mine up and running. What are they doing here? What an interesting concept. Let's see if there's anything on the Insta. I also got a tweeter. Like, I see a cool backdrop here, but like, what? It just looks like some Unreal Engine template thing. What is this even real? Visit Milky Way Games and play now. Oof. All right. Well, let's see. Bima roadmap gameplay. I don't even know why there's houses in Monkey Town. Oh, is this like a zoo setting? Maybe this is their playground. I don't know. In the year 2081, 50 years after both the first Neuralink experiments, nice, to implant chips in the brain of monkeys and the creation of monkey man mutants to develop human organs by healthcare companies. Oh, the year is. Okay, I misread that. The advanced cognitive abilities monkeys took slowly over humans and are now able to evolve rapidly. Dope. Transfer to dangerous monsters, run and attack anyone on a path with humanity on the verge of extinction. The face of these far-reaching events, the apes have every chance. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Become the most powerful monkey. What is that? I love they have a little monkey sound in the music. So this is kind of like an RTS, maybe? What are we looking at? So there's a little mini map there. I do feel like a game streamer at the moment. Like, I haven't gotten that feeling since I started streaming. I'm like, oh, look at all those game streamers able to make all that content. You just play video games all day. Yeah, well, that's the closest I'm gonna get to that for a hot minute. So, okay, that's cool. So it's like it looks like a little RTS, but you actually do like coin mining in the game somehow. That's interesting. Maybe it's some staking system. That'd be cool. Well, that's neat. I don't know how the token works or anything like that. They got a white paper. We could take a quick gander at that. I don't want to waste too much. Oh, there's a roadmap. That's always the best place to start. Hey, look at this roadmap. Nice. All right. Calendar time scale. Moving from centralized to decentralized architecture slowly without friction support. More updates, more balancing. This is very general. Guild system. Oh, okay. So I'm going from the bottom. I got to go from the bottom up. Okay, I was reading top down like a normal human. I should have read like a monkey. Monkeys always go bottom up. So 2021. Q2, combat system integration, monkey coin testnet integration. They got their own testnet. That's cool. Tokenized blueprint technologies, testnet integration, guild system update. Okay. Then they got the 1.0 release in 2022. That's good timeline. I feel like somebody can build a simple game in that timeline. That is not an unreasonable timeline. In this space, you get all these unreasonable time. I feel like somebody can release a Q1 game that's at this level of progress by 2022. I do. I think that's a reasonable timeline. It depends on how hard they work, though. So, moving from central to decentralized architecture, and how if they have a team or if it's just them. Just one dude. If it's just like one dude, it's probably gonna go faster. Actually, you never know. All right, moving from centralized to decentralized slowly. So it's not gonna be decentralized day one. I wonder what that's about. They'll have a coin though. Maybe they mean like the server infrastructure is gonna be decentralized. That'll be cool. They could do something like that. Well, they made progress and they got something, which is like they're putting effort in, which is better than a lot of people do. Olive Cash running on the lightning fast Avalanche platform by Olive and stake them in an MKC pool. Turn monkey coin. Okay. Apparently monkeys love olives. I didn't know that about monkeys. Well, that's a super, super cool project. I'm happy to see that coming. I really do want more gaming stuff. Like I mean, just because like I'm a nerd, right? Like I'm all about that. Like, dude, they've got some social media going on here. Look at this. All right. Get your monkey self going on. All right, that's cool. All right. So I'm happy to see those guys doing their thing with their crypto monkey empire. I'm going to do them a big solid and just follow them on Twitter. And you know what? You guys should too. Let's encourage them to finish. Let's encourage them to finish by following them. You know, let's give them a little traction as an incentive to keep going. Cool. All right. All right. So next, actually, I want to keep tell with it. Anything I was gonna say? A lot of stuff we've kind of gone over already. I want to go over some more gaming stuff, but I can't really separate by topic yet, I think. So we'll wait on that. Avado. So I've actually met these guys, and they're really nice dudes. Like, I love what they're building. I was a little concerned because the name of our, like, we have like naming like problems in the company. Like, obviously we started out being Ava. That was the name of the token. Then there was an Ava already for Travala, and we thought we were going to get that, and then it got sniped by somebody or something like that. I can't really remember the details, so don't quote me. But we couldn't have Ava the token, so we had to go to AVAX is what it is, right? And there's been a lot of people who are not really friendly to the fact that we can kind of blow away what they got. Anyway, so we got Avado, and I was like, hey guys, you got a naming conflict there. But that kind of went away when we got the AVAX token. Because I was really worried that people are going to be like, yeah, man, like, we are supported by Ava Labs. I was also tired. I probably shouldn't have said that. It's dumb in hindsight. They have some really good stuff here. I like what they do. Their whole system existed prior to our network launch. They've been at it for a while. So they don't just support like Avalanche. They support a whole ton of nodes. If you want to run an ETH2 staking node, like, you could just buy this little box, and you'll be able to do that. You'll have ETH2. You've got like Bitcoin. You can do all sorts of different nodes. And here's Avalanche just right there. Yeah, one good thing about Avalanche is we do come first alphabetically, typically. Not always, but typically. At least on the first, top 5. So yeah, I mean, they've got really cool boxes here. They're really tiny, power efficient, and great for just running a node like Avalanche, because we're proof of stake, we're low powered, we're very, very simple for the price. I mean, it's basically just something that runs in your house. It's fanless, it's totally silent, it's got tons of storage. These are nice little boxes for real. Like, guys, like, consider maybe if you're running a home setup, just consider throwing these guys a bone and taking a look at what they're doing here, because it's good stuff. And they've got one-click install, so if you want to run an Avalanche node, you just click that button and install it, and you've got a system like up and running. Like, it's pretty cool, like self-sovereign the whole way. Fantastic stuff. So definitely look into this. You don't need the highest end model for Avalanche. Even the lower models are more than enough for Avalanche. It's better than a Raspberry Pi, I'll put it to you that way. So yeah, I mean, like, definitely check it out. Still work with C-chain state increasing. What is the current C-chain state size? Does anybody know offhand? I don't know. I can't get how big is the C-chain? Tyler, do you know? I think, is it huge? So worried about that. So this is why I was like, okay, we can't make these. So like, there's a lot. When you say EVM scaling, we're talking about a lot of different things that I've realized. So like, typically when I've talked with like Tyler and stuff, I think we were talking about two different things with regard to scaling. And I think he wants fast syncing and quick, nodes to quickly get on board. But like, for me, I'm actually more concerned about the size of the state. Whew. Yeah, it's not going to get better really easily. I mean, you can make it better, but it's like the size of the state is a big problem for Ethereum. And with the speed in which we're running it, like, it can get big quick. I mean, it's not going to get small. Like, we're not even running that fast. We're not running full speed. Like, no way. I don't think it's going to get faster. Ethereum's got a problem. Ethereum in general. Like the EVM. Fortunately, we got the advantage of being able to like rapidly iterate on it. Yeah, so like, here's the other thing, is like, a lot of the state problems, I have a feeling, is evidence carrying stuff, which can be like reduced out because we don't need to carry that much evidence if things finalize instantly. If things are finalizing right away, we can do things differently than the EVM did. And I think a lot of these like proofs and Patricia Merkle tree stuff could just be reduced out. But I don't know how much advantage that will actually present us or not. And I also don't know if it'll break existing applications, which may or may not depend on it. So for instance, if we do that, what will integrators who use the EVM as their integration portal, will they have problems with that? I'm just going to leave it in Tyler's capable hands. He's been on it for a while, so I guess he's up to speed and knows what he's doing way better than I ever would. So yeah, trust him. But to me, it's like the state is a major problem for anybody running the EVM. BSC chain, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's a tough one. I don't know when Coinbase. Hey, Black Warrior, welcome, and Don Wonton, thank you for the excellent question. Yeah, I think the C chain would have been great optional, but I think the only reason that people are using Avalanche is because it's not, right? Like the fact that we supported, Avalanche, the fact that we supported EVM day one is like it's kind of the big deal here, right? It's what enabled all the DeFi stuff. It's just unfortunate that the EVM is designed the way that it is. Yeah, I know why they did it too, by the way. It's because they were just like us. Like, we had to get things out the door, so we didn't necessarily do everything 100% optimally. I'm just going to lay that out there. Like, there's no way we did everything 100% optimally. I already know that for certain. Like, NFTs on the X chain do not prune in the current way that they are. Fortunately, we can iterate on it right now fast enough that we can probably fix stuff like that. But, like, we'll have state bloat issues if NFTs are used on the X chain. Just will. The thing is, like, I would need Tyler to be the person to say that, because I'd be speaking out of my depth. But from a state size issue, I think for like account state size always infinitely grows in Ethereum. So there is I think Kate commitments might help with that a little. I'm not really clear if they will or not. I know that ZK proofs don't actually help with state that much. They're more for getting up to speed and proving that state is valid, which is super awesome. It means you don't have to download as much history, which means that if you're not downloading as much history, then what people consider state is just the blockchain size. If you download 40 gigabytes, you don't have to download quite as much. It's still true. But I'm talking about state bloat, like the size of the actual state itself. That's kind of a different issue altogether. And like freezers and stuff like that are like what they use right now in Ethereum, where they're just like, hey, from this point forward, it's like you decentralized, but everything here you could just use this check-in, and we'll agree that it's valid. I mean, that's good, and you need that stuff because obviously archive nodes on Ethereum are hard to get up and running. But that's not the same as like state size. State size is where even if you had only one block and the latest block was always the current state or whatever, you know what I mean? Like the current state is the database is not block, is probably terrible phrasing on my part, but the current state of the whole data, all the contracts, all the accounts, right? How do you reduce that down? Because that's actually can get quite large. So Tyler's saying yes. With Kate commitments, nodes only track a small polynomial, which is a hash of the state. And then transactions send the state they use, which gets checked against the hash. It's called statelessness. It's by far our best solution. Then transactions send the state they use, which gets checked against the hash. I'm a little uncertain if that'll do what we want. Because you still need the state to do that. All right, well, this is a topic for Technical Wednesdays. So I'll move on from that. Tyler, maybe you could pop on Technical Wednesday. We could chat about it. I'm a little unclear because you still need the state to make the to do that, right? You can't transfer send the state they use, which gets checked against the hash. It's called state. I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure. So it's easy to see things like that for addresses, because then you don't have to check the knots, because you could know if it's been strictly increased. That's the kind of stuff that I think we might be able to do. So like right now in Ethereum, the EVM, the way it works is that all addresses have 3 data points. I'll forget the other one, but there's the account, so it's the address basically. Then there's all accounts, I guess. It is the address, and then it also has a nonce, and that nonce must be strictly increasing. And then you have one other piece of data. I think it's actually a Merkle root, maybe, of where it was created. Can't remember. Anyway, point is, it has these 3 pieces of data, and the problem with like addresses is that it's a constantly growing database. You can't get rid of them ever. So as soon as you use a new address on Ethereum, it's there forever, which, you know, is not a big deal if it's just 1 or 2 addresses, or it's very, very little amount, a little amount of data. But the problem is with high frequency and a lot of new addresses, and like our wallet gives you a new address every time kind of stuff. Like, although I don't know, obviously it doesn't interface with MetaMask. But, you know, if you do this like HD wallet stuff, especially, like, you're going to get new addresses on the chain, and it's just going to blow up the address space. Not good. That's just one thing. The other thing you got to consider is that contracts are also addresses, so they suffer from similar problems. Now, the thing is that the actual contract code itself is very well deduped. Let's just say if you take the same contract and you load it to Ethereum, it will identify that it's the same contract and not duplicate that code, basically, which is good, right? And I think a large portion of the contracts on Ethereum are like dedupable and are compressed in that manner. But the problem is they still, like, every time you upload a new contract to the chain, it again has its own state. So if you have the same contract, that's fine, but the state associated with it, like let's say you're storing an NFT contract, okay? Every time you load an NFT into that contract, it adds more state to that contract state. It might not be, the code might be deduped, but the actual state of the contract can't be deduped very easily because you don't know what the frick is in there. It's not a predictable regular data set. It depends on what's in the contract per se. So it's a lot of problems. So Moonboy says another solution to change site is what Mina is doing. So Mina doesn't, Mina doesn't help, like Tyler's saying. See, 2 separate problems. Yeah, so like Mina doesn't solve the state growth problem. It solves state validation. So quick syncing, basically. You could sync very quickly. You could prove that the state you're getting, that you've received, is correct faster, right? So you can get your nodes up to speed, bootstrap better, like verify that things are correct, like fast, really fast verification, right? But you still need the whole hit. You still need the whole history. You need the data to do that proof with. You need to make sure that you have that data. Somebody has to have that data. You can't make a proof that something is true without the facts to begin with, right? And that's basically what you're running into with that whole snark stuff. Is, you know, it doesn't. It's like Tyler's saying. It's 2 separate problems. But the state size problem is kind of a big deal. I think the fact that we're taking care of the validation side will cut the amount of download time you have for the C chain and the data requirements on that down significantly. It means that you no longer need to keep that full history, basically, which we're not really keeping the full history. I think we're doing a full node, non-archive node on everything. But you'll still have state size growing problems, and they grow fast. It grows fast. The state grows relatively fast. So we want to keep that thin and light and as small as possible. And anything we can do to optimize the state growth would also be good. Though I am interested to see how much this actually cuts out the actual, like, download times, I guess you could call it, the syncing times, the bootstrap times. We'll see. State rent are good things. Peter Schlage is endorsing state rent. I endorse state rent. I don't see another solution. You pay for the time. If you want to keep a contract alive, you have to dump more money into the contract, or you build an incentive model into the contract itself so it pays for itself. So every time you send money to a contract, you also pay a fee to add to the contract's funds to keep it alive longer. That kind of thing. We'll see. There's a lot of different ways to cut that turkey. Yeah, so zipping the chain up to a certain point is kind of what the freezer thing is for Ethereum. You know, it helps you sync, but it doesn't solve state size. You have to unzip it at some point, right? Like, you still have to unzip it. Like, it's still you need the data. You can't just get rid of the data. And by the way, there are hard limits to the size of lossless zipping. You don't want lossy zipping, you want lossless zipping. And there are hard limits to how much compression you can do on any data. It's restricted by Shannon's theorem, I believe. So you cannot have, and by the way, it's a formula based off of how much data there is to compress. So, but I think like the hardest limit you can get is like 12.7% and very few compression algorithms can even come close to that theoretical limit. Netflix actually held a contest a while ago to see how much data compression you could do. Was it Netflix? Might have been somebody else. Somebody did. Yeah, Netflix had a different. But yeah, it's basically entropy log 2 bits. Yeah. So, are you talking about the Ethereum Internet Computer when you refer to EVM being short on space? Are you talking about the contract chain or the Ethereum Internet Computer? Both. So EVM is the Ethereum Virtual Machine. The Ethereum Virtual Machine is the engine that runs Ethereum chains. So it has all the ops codes. It'll run all the smart contracts. It'll do everything that Ethereum can do. And the Ethereum blockchain runs EVM. In fact, it was built for Ethereum, obviously, right? But other people could take that same virtual machine and use it on their network, which is exactly what Avalanche did. We took the open source chain, EVM, and we went ahead and used it as a library in the core eth module, and then the core eth module is just imported into Avalanche. So, long story short is we use EVM. BSC uses the EVM. EVM is a commonly used tool. There's also other implementations of it, like TurboGath and the Open Ethereum project, which is formerly known as Parity Chain, or Parity Client. So is it called Open Ethereum? Whatever. So like these are just virtual machines. They all run to the specifications of the Ethereum virtual machine. Okay. When I say the EVM is short on space, I don't think anybody is short on space. It can grow forever. That's the problem, is that people don't like it when it's full. It becomes problematic for people to download the network and get stinked up and have their own node. It's a problem for people to stay updated. It's just like hard drive space issues. Like if we want to run on a Raspberry Pi, well, you can't run on a Raspberry Pi if you're using up all the hard drive space. I guess it doesn't matter that way, but you know what I mean? You're using you can always extend that, but it's kind of a problem for people if the chain size gets too big. They don't like it. They don't want to participate in networks that are like that. And with Avalanche, the real problem is that we run so freaking fast. Like we're running 2 to 3 times the speed of Visa. Visa, the payments processor Visa, right? Like we run 2 to 3 times the speed of them. Okay? Ethereum runs at 7 transactions per second. We run 2 orders of magnitude faster than that. Right? I'm sorry, Ethereum runs at 14 transactions per second. We run 2 orders of magnitude faster than that. We run at 4,500 base. And that's on the X chain, mind you. So theoretically, if we could get the C chain to run just as fast as the X chain, the C chain would just like balloon in size super fast because it doesn't self-prune and it just constantly adds data to its state. So if we want a really fast operating virtual machine, the EVM doesn't look like it's it. It looks like it's good for now, but it doesn't look like it's good for forever. So Tyler's doing some research Tyler's tcrypt25519 in chat. He's doing some research on how we can improve that situation, but ultimately I feel as though the account model may not be the surviving model. And that's what Ethereum uses. It uses the account model. As opposed to what Bitcoin uses, which is the UTXO model. There might even be new models that people could make. And that's the cool thing about subnets, is that subnets give people the opportunity to experiment with new VM types which also give them the opportunity to test out new ways of storing protables, data, and not be married to one model like the Ethereum virtual machine forces people to be on Ethereum. So, I'm not hating on Ethereum. I just know what the limitations are, and we're paying for them. It's okay. It's a de facto standard, so we're all living with it. But, something's got to break. It can't live forever. Or Tyler is brilliant and solves all of Ethereum's problems that they've been working on for 6 years. I think it's fundamental. I think it's a fundamental flaw. I think we've got good enough. We're going to get to a good enough point, and then we're going to have to migrate to something. People are just going to want to change. I don't know. I don't know if C-Chain will always live in mainnet. I don't know. I don't think it has to. That's the other thing. It's like the advantage of the Avalanche platform is that we have migration paths that other platforms don't have. You have a monolithic chain with Ethereum. You can't really easily move or even fork state into another thing, right? Let's say Penguin's having problems on the C chain. Okay, well they're able to move to a subnet if we need them to. Like, we can do stuff like that, We could even add another chain to the primary network. The whole network can just decide to add another chain to the primary network. And it's just for Penguin, right? Or whatever. We can do that. It runs another VM just for Penguin, right? It's doable. But you can't do that on a monolithic model like Ethereum or Bitcoin even. You have to go through this huge lengthy process because they don't have a path to change stuff or experiment rapidly. You can fork the chain, the C chain. You can fork the C chain into your own subnet and copy all the tokens that exist on the C chain. Now, mind you, those tokens will have different properties and they will be on a different network. But you can literally just go C chain state subnet, and it will work on a subnet. Now you've got your own subnet that runs your own copy of the C chain. You can just take the data and migrate it over bit for bit, and then do it into a different model and do a translation to make sure that works. And you could do that live without breaking anything because it's on your own subnet and nobody cares about your subnet until it works, right? So you can just make things work and then release it. This is fantastic stuff. Like, you can do that on Avalanche. You cannot do that on Ethereum. You cannot do that on any other network. No other network. Ordain, I love the idea of having a Agoric VM on a subnet. Do it. That's the thing. It's like, once we get open and permissionless subnets, I see every single VM being implemented on every single every single VM is capable, is up for grabs. Like, any VM that you've ever thought of can be on a subnet once subnets are open and permissionless. In fact, you can do that now. There's nothing really technically stopping you from doing that now. You can totally go you could totally go do a subnet today. The only thing is that subnet will be private. It's permissioned, and that's fine. In fact, I think that's useful. Genuinely do. If you want to go run an Agoric private subnet right now, you can do that work. However, if you want to open a permissionless subnet, you're going to need to wait for that to be worked out, because there's some problems with, not problems, but cross subnet transactions need to be standardized, and the staking stuff needs to be worked out. So it's very clear how do people do that. And also, creating a subnet right now is a little arduous. So that developer process needs to be improved. But the protocol supports it. It's in protocol already. There's nothing there that is non-protocol. Other than the fact that there's no transaction for creating a open and permissionless one, which is just creating a new transaction type. That's a cool thing about Avalanche too, is we have very extensible transaction types. I'll probably go over that tomorrow. I'll go over transaction types tomorrow. It should be pretty heady though. But all right, so thank you. Answer my question regarding PayPal and Bank of England discussions. Do you feel as if they would be best to develop a subnet? So, sorry guys, I actually could use some water. Should have brought some. I'm getting a little raspy here. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go do that just so you don't get annoyed by my voice. I'll be right back in 1 second. I'll talk to PDayer21's question. 1 minute here. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, PDayer21 asked a very good question regarding PayPal and a Bank of England. Discuss, you feel as though it'd be best to develop a subnet? Yeah, I think anything that's going to try and scale needs to be done on a subnet. Like, if you have an independent value proposition that you want to fulfill, I think a subnet's a really good place for it. Like, why would you try and put everything? So, like, the primary network is is ultimately still a single pipe, right? There's no way to get around a single pipe situation, okay? You're always going to have that one single pipe. But the cool thing is, like, it really should just be limited in functionality. It's very restricted token transfers, registering a subnet, defining a new asset type, maybe minting those asset types. These are all things that I think really are great for a primary network operation, right? But ultimately, I feel like the heavy lifting tasks can be put into something that's more subnet-like. The other thing is, like, Bank of England is not going to be like all about that open and permissionless network. I'd be very shocked if they were. Like, nobody will be. None of these fiat, you know, what are they called? The digital banking coins, whatever they're called, CDBC. CBDC, yes, central bank digital currency. Like, none of these things are going to be probably open and permissionless. They're probably going to be permissioned. Like, that's what they really want, is they want control. But the network that they flow through, when you have like a ton of different people involved, a ton of different independent countries involved. Like, China doesn't trust the U.S., doesn't trust Russia. You know, I mean, like, they're gonna want to have to balance that power somehow. And that's where a single backbone network that is open and permissionless comes in, and that's where I see, like, Avalanche taking over. If you want to transfer money from the United States to China, which is a less frequent operation, you know, you can do that through the Avalanche backbone or an Avalanche backbone. You know what I mean? And a platform like that. So, do I see them being on a subnet? Yeah, because there will be a US dollar subnet, and there'll be a China subnet, and there'll be a Bank of England subnet, and there'll be a Canadian subnet, there'll be a Mexican subnet, and there'll be a Brazilian subnet, Luxembourgian subnet. You know, it's like the Swiss subnet, which is going to be really run by the mafia. And kidding, or am I? But you know, I really feel like these subnets are the key to actual scale. Like, it's the trick. It's the way of making things work. And the fact that they all share a validator set, that's you know, a common validator set is kind of super useful. And it's great because if you want to do those transfers with the highest level of safety, you can do it on the primary network and then move it to your subnet personally. You know, like, US dollar could be moved to the primary network and then swapped for yen on the primary network, and then, you know, that exchange can happen there. It's the safest way to do things. It's not the necessarily most optimal way to do things 100% of the time. I would restrict that to values that are reasonable for doing it on that scale, on that single area. I mean, but that's kind of the way I see it going, and that's why I think that AVAX token has actually got a lot of value behind it. Now, this is a huge promise. I can't, like, say this will actually happen, right? But that's kind of like the vision that I see, and you know, eventually this kind of system will exist. Does Avalanche support interplanetary subnets? I want to move with Elon Musk. Yeah, sure. Why not? Okay, sure. Go for it. I mean, there's going to be some lag between transfer times. When most of your validators are on Earth and you decide to pop over to Mars, I mean, you're not going to get real time. I think I asked Vlad this, like, randomly in, like, 2017. Like, when I think of, like, transactions, I think about how they're going to work when they go into space. And I'm like, in hindsight, I'm like, was I high? Like, why did I say that? It's so dumb. Like, it's like, not to speak ill of your question. It's a good question. Yeah, sure. I mean, you can send transactions. Transactions are signed by you. And subnets can be run anywhere the validators exist. The only problem is validators will have to all validate the primary network. So the way the way I see subnets that could exist on Mars working with networks that exist on Earth. And I've said this before, I think you should be able to, the right word is delegate, but unfortunately we have delegators. I don't want people to get too confused, but I'm going to call it is delegation. You should be able to delegate the validation of a subnet to another node. So I'm validator, so like let's say I'm validator dead beef, okay? I got my own chain, my node ID is dead beef. I'm validating, and I want to validate another subnet. Okay. I don't want the machine that's validating the primary network to be the machine that's also validating that subnet. That subnet is high throughput, and honestly, it doesn't scale well for me to do that. It's vertical scaling. I'd have to increase the power on that machine vertically in order to scale that subnet. If I want to do 400 subnets, for instance, on my validator, my Avalanche validator, I can't do that with one machine if those validators or the subnets are also high throughput. I can't do that at all. So the idea then would be like, I'm validator dead beef, and I'm going to delegate validation of this subnet to another node on another machine. I'm going to say, you're now responsible for validating that subnet. I give you that authority and that, whatever, and I'm putting my trust in you to do that. But I also run that machine. So here's how it would work. If Mars wanted to do their own subnet and their own currency, that's great. Do that subnet, and then the people who own the actual validator would be existing on Earth, and where you could get the responsiveness needed to keep your uptime, and it just delegates the responsibility of the Mars subnet to Mars. You'd have the lag time between Earth and Mars transmitting taken care of, because like literally the only thing that your machine needs to do is handle the Martian economy, and then all the Earth stuff needs. Yeah, basically, I'm rambling at this point, but the point is you can do stuff like that. I'm also a Martian maximalist. P Day or 21, thank you for your answer, Colin. That's exactly what I have in mind with the subnet vision. What doesn't make sense to me is why would there be ongoing discussion of China launching their CBDC and a permissionless network like a single layer blockchains, personally a layer 0 like Ava. China does what China does, man. Like, I can't see how they're actually doing a blockchain or a CBDC that isn't just some like central database somewhere. Like, literally, we have this technology for years. I don't see how they do anything new. Like, literally, all they would be doing is like, we're going cashless. From now on, you can't use cash. Like, that's what that would mean, basically. Like, that's the only. They already are pretty much like that with like WeChat and stuff. Like, that's fine. Like, I don't see how that's actually an open or permissionless anything, or it doesn't have to be. Like, but the problem is, like, they need a backbone to communicate with everybody else with. So if they get that VM going, they get their whole like layer 1 whatever going, they can add it as a subnet somehow to Avalanche down the road. So more power to them. If it works, it works. Honestly, I think they would do better if they had an Avalanche network, because then they can distribute their risk, and their network itself will be more resilient to attack, which is really what you want. Like, you want to reduce all the single points of failure out of your system and spread that risk across the whole of your country. Geographically, power dynamically, you don't want the same one particular entity to control all the authority in your network. You need to have multiple keys involved with any decision-making process. So Avalanche is perfect for that, because you can have an unlimited number, whereas with, classical protocols, you are restricted to 100, which is not enough. It's shown over and over again to not be enough. Is a patent application valid in China? China, I don't know, man. It's an international patent, I believe. I don't know how. I'm not a lawyer. But China's bad with copyright. I don't know how they are with patents, but from what I understand, they pretty much just take whatever they want. Sorry, that's what they do. Known for it. Not different culture. Doesn't respect IP law quite as much as we do. It's absolutely imperative for machines to communicate with each other. Okay. I'm curious, what are your favorite dApps right now on AVAX? Pangolin, I guess. I don't really use dApps. The thing you got to know about me is I don't touch AVAX unless I need to do an exchange of AVAX. I don't have any other tokens. Never used Pangolin either, to be honest with you. Not that guy. Never was. In fact, before Ava Labs, I had already dumped all my tokens. I didn't own any cryptocurrency. I felt like it made me more objective in my decision-making process. And it did. It helped me find Ava Labs. Helped me find Avalanche. But I'm not a DeFi guy, and that's all that's really out there right now. You know, if I wanted, I do have, I did like crypto seals, the NFT thing. I liked it. I just liked the design. Like, I thought it was cool. It was a good way to show that we could do a thing. I don't know. I mean, it didn't stand the test of time quite as much. I mean, it could. It's totally could. Like, it's just fun. I liked it. I thought it was great. I got such a kick out of this. CryptoPunks was just like a copy. The Snowies thing was cool, but it was too limited. And I just like... Oh, that's right. I don't have MetaMask because I'm in incognito mode. All right. Well, the point is that I don't know. We'll see how the Tops things goes. I'm not really all that excited about Bazooka Joe. I don't know who is. I don't know who is and owns and is technical. Like Cabbage Patch, Garbage Pail Kids I kind of get, but yeah, Crypto Seals is dope. I think Crypto Seals was really well done. Simple, very, very clean. It got it out quick. It was a good example of how to do things. I loved the avatar stuff associated with it. I think it was a nice way for people to notice us really, really quickly. I mean, honestly, I think it's one of those things that, you know, NFTs themselves have questionable value. So if you went into it with a profit in mind, I'm not sure if you'd actually like got one. But they're fun. And here's the other thing: when Avalanche like blows up, these are limited edition. So maybe something that was verifiably owned by Goon or Kevin is going to be worth a lot more. We'll see though. I mean, like I have no idea. The value stuff, like, I don't want to go down that route, but you know, I've already talked. The NFTs to me are fun, but it's the highest risk asset in crypto, and I'm talking. We've got coins named after hot dog and sushi. Okay, but NFTs are the highest risk asset in crypto. You know, it's. Another interesting thing about crypto seals is they're basically loot boxes, which was interesting to me. It's like literally they are loot boxes, which has been ruled against in court several times and are regulated pretty heavily. You know, EA has had to change the way they do things because of, you know, the loot box aspect being such a gambling thing. Basically, they found it as basically gambling, and crypto seals is very much a loot box. I mean, it is exactly a loot box in the way that it works. So it's interesting to see. I mean, in an unregulated market, you could do something like that, depending on what entity actually launched it. But I thought they were really fun. I really loved Crypto Seals. These are just really pretty. They're just super cool. You know, actually, I think this one was mine. I really do. I think this one was actually mine. This crappy one right here. I tried to sell it for like a boatload. Nobody took it. But this one might have been mine too. I don't remember. I don't know. Anyway, point is they were fun. I liked them. They were neat. They were clever. So yeah, Crypto Seals is my favorite by far. So yeah, definitely check out Avado. Said that already. Also, there is a really cool account to follow called AVAX Daily. You know what? I say, hey, follow these accounts, and then I actually keep forgetting to do it myself. Hold on one second. Let me do that for them. Okay, cool. So AVAX Daily's got a nice daily news and guides for AVAX. Always love people doing that stuff. anything like that. I love this graphic, by the way. This is just beautiful. Like, this looks like a video game interface. How cool is this? Like, this is how you get your skill tree leveled up. You know what I mean? Very cool stuff. I like the way they partitioned it out, so it's very much like a gaming kind of thing. Like, oh yeah, the wizard goes here, and then like the warrior here, and this is how if you want to become a warrior, you gotta like level up your points here. If you don't play games, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but it does look very cool. I think it's very neat the way they did all that and partition. They like literally, it's just so well done. Categorized it. It's just a really good graphic. I just love this. It's so beautiful. They should be so happy with themselves. I love it. All right, so definitely check out AVAX Daily. These guys are great. You know, there's not much to do on any of these networks, to be honest with you, man. Like, unless you're into DeFi, the days of experimentation are kind of getting past. You know, we already know what doesn't work, and not a lot works. So until subnets come out and you can get different types of VMs and different types of trust models, I'm just like, yeah, this is exactly what you get on every other network. Well, I don't know what that means, because I don't know DeFi on any network. I don't know. All I know is I look at a lot of people doing yield farming on Avalanche and having success. So I don't know what varied success they get, but like this is a very big DeFi section right here. So that's pretty cool. Although they put the olive coin there. I wonder what that's about. So I don't know, man. Like, what would you like to see done? Are there any active competitors that support cross-chain compatibility and infinite VMs? That's a loaded question. So, none that can do it at scale. None that could really scale. None. None that can do it in fast finality either. Like, there's a lot of things that Avalanche does better. We finalize it under a second typically. We have no tie to VMs. We have the ability to create our multi-chain subnets. So your subnet can have one or many chains. You can have cross-chain transfers, especially under the same subnet. Like the primary network can do cross-chain transfers just fine. Fully EVM compatible, green, CPU mined, or staked, I guess you could say, validated. Runs at twice the speed of Visa, maybe more probably on the X-Chain now. It's like we destroy the competition on every metric except for maybe the fact that Bitcoin is more live than we are, but it's less safe, and you don't want that. So, like literally, like we crush the competition. So, are there competitors? In my mind, I don't see a single competitor on the market at all. Like not even close. I see a lot of hokey stuff being built. Like Polkadot's pretty hokey. And like, but do they support multiple VMs? Probably. I don't think they support infinite chains though. I mean, there's a limited number of parachains that like they could do, and like Cosmos is the same thing. I don't think you can have infinite number of chains in the Cosmos ecosystem. I might be wrong about that, but in general, like they might have one or two things, but they're missing the whole package. You can't have an infinite number of validators in Cosmos, for instance. You're capped. You have to cap, otherwise you get performance degradation. You know, it's just like there's nobody else. There's nobody that can do this because it's like the first major quantum leap in consensus since Satoshi Nakamoto. And the weird thing about Satoshi Nakamoto is it wasn't even that much of a quantum leap. It was actually like a step back from like as far as like transaction speed, the fact that it's not safe. It stepped back in a lot of ways, but it proved that you can do consensus on global scale using probabilistic modeling, right? Probabilistic consensus models. And that's what Avalanche is a probabilistic consensus model, just like Bitcoin. You know, prior to Bitcoin, everything was probability 1. You had to make sure that everything was 100% correct all the time. But Bitcoin added this like little error margin, and you could go global with it. Same thing happened on Avalanche. You had this little margin of error, and suddenly you could go global with classical consensus. And that's like huge. It's a tremendous like quantum leap in philosophy and design. And it's literally the E equals MC square of consensus. So like prior to Avalanche, we were in like this Newtonian model, right? Well, actually, like, you know, classical, we got this Aristotelian model, and we got this like, okay, these are how things work. These are the basics, right? And then you got this Newtonian model coming out because of Newton. He shows, of Satoshi Nakamoto. He shows that you can work in a probabilistic setting and reach different ends, reach different results. So you have global consensus. But, you know, we went to like straight up like quantum level with this. Like it is like incredible how fast you can come to consensus with such a little overhead if you just add that little margin of error when you're actually building a classical consensus model. It's just funny. It's just super cool. So the thing about, I actually asked Yoon about this recently. I found out that Adam Back actually invented proof of work a couple years before Karma, when he developed something called Hashcash. So it was proposed in 1997, and 2002 he built something that looked like it actually did. It basically, like, the proof of work thing I think came out a couple years before, or about the same time actually that Karma had it. Because when did Karma come out? It was like 2003, right? Karma. Let's see. Yeah, like 2003. Yeah, so like basically, I don't know what this is, but basically, you know, they were kind of like same time. I asked Goon about it. I was like, what happened? And Goon was like, I hadn't heard of Adam Back's work. Like, so, like, I'm like, well, okay, so you independently came up with proof of work. Okay, so Cynthia Dwork invented proof of work. Let's look that up then. So here's the thing is if somebody independently comes up with something, they don't really have to cite the people that they didn't know existed, probably, unless they actually read it. And information was way different back then. It was a lot harder to get. Like, in 1999, like, Yahoo was a directory of links. Like, that's what they were. They were a directory of links. You click through that directory, you might find something. You know? It wasn't like Google this and give me the answer. Like, that didn't exist at that time. Like, it was pretty... Like, Google wasn't really big until maybe, like, 2002. So, oh, man. Oh, Google just set... My phone just thought it said, okay, Google. Oh, did it again, because I did say it. You're getting too good. Spying on me. Yeah, I mean, like, if people are inventing this independently, I don't know what the rules are there. So let's see. Acquire proof of work, also know proof of work, key and Hashcash in Bitcoin. Yeah, I don't know. So it's kind of like, yeah, he probably independently came up with it. It's a pretty obvious idea for a civil deterrent. Like, it really is. Like, it's not. Yep. Well, thank you, Tyler. I did not know about Cynthia either. Who did what? That's always the question, isn't it? Who was first? Sorry, I'm zoning out. Should probably keep talking. All right, so let's get back to subject. I don't know why I have that open. Yeah, Crypto Daily. Definitely check them out. I'm sorry, AVAX Daily. Where are you from in Romania? Cluj. I don't know who that is. Who's Cluj? Okay, so now, can a cryptocurrency break the buck? I think this is super interesting, and it's not necessarily Avalanche based, except for the fact that, you know, we have Tether. But this is a really interesting article, and I wanted to bring it up. That's all. I wanted to bring it up. So this article, I don't know. I'm not Romanian. I don't know who you thought was Romanian, but it wasn't me. I'm American. Born and bred. Red-blooded American, bald eagles and guns, baby. Truck nuts and everything. No, I'm not Romanian, man. I'm American. From the South, too. That's why I say so many politically incorrect things. I don't know better. All right. So, no excuse. So, let's see. Not that I make excuses anyway. Yeah, okay. So basically, this paper's outlining a little bit about Daddy. This paper's outlining a little bit about Tether and their situation, and it's signaling a bit of regulatory change here. And I'm not an expert on everything like about this stuff, but I do know a good signal when I see one. And it's pretty troubling to find out that 7%, something like that, of where is it? Tether's supply. 8% of its assets were in cash. If you're a US dollar stablecoin and 8% of your assets are in cash, you're not able to get that money out on demand. And that's like unheard of in the financial sector. And it's a little troubling if you're hodling Tether, which I don't know who hodls Tether. I guess you need to if you're like a company. Like who bets on the US dollar? I guess it's a good, whatever. But you're not pulling out. So basically, they detailed all their information, and when you really compare it to the things that are going on for similar products in what did I just do? They're similar stupid ads. I swear, I wish I could use uBlock Origin in incognito mode. Anyway, if you look at some of the similar products that are put out in other banking industry, like actually like regulatory space, they do not run things that way, and it's kind of troubling. It's also kind of troubling like where they keep their money, which is where do they say they did that? I just read this before I got on here. It talks a little bit about Libra too, which is part of the interesting narrative that I'm also pointing out here, is that Libra's coming back into the conversation, Libra and Diem, and with the whole Peter Thiel connection here, I think there might be something to that, and Avalanche. So anyway, the Office of the Comptroller has also been in the news with Avalanche in like 2020. So there's a lot of connections here about Avalanche maybe being able to support a central bank digital currency. But yeah, Tether keeps its reserves at a small bank in the Bahamas. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm not mad at it. I understand why people do this stuff, but crypto's a high risk industry, dog. This is an unstable way of running your situation, in my opinion. And I'm not an expert either, so take that with a grain of salt. But when you look at these kind of things popping up, I'm just like, yeesh. Tether's kind of essential to the ecosystem. It's piping. It's essential piping that we are relying on, and it doesn't look very sturdy. It looks like it's not lead piping. It's not going to poison you, but it does look like the pipes are getting old. You know what I mean? They're rusting a little. That's a lame example. It's just not, I don't know. They're just not those same quality pipes. You use PVC and you should have used copper. I don't know. Point is, it's not what you'd expect to see from somebody who's managing so much money. And it's a little disheartening, but it also shows an opportunities there. First off, it shows that regulatory pressure may force them to change the way that they're doing things. Second off, it shows that there's an opportunity for somebody who can jump in and take over that regulatory need. And somebody with a large amount of cash reserves, such as PayPal, could probably do it, especially if they got built-in mechanisms for payments through Venmo, built-in mechanisms through of banking compliance, just payment compliance, PCI compliance. Yeah, these are things that are hard infrastructure needs that could be very beneficial to the entire ecosystem if we had a U.S. stable dollar that was supported by that. The thing is, like, if the regulation steps in and says you need to do this, I don't know if Tether can comply fast enough. We'll see, though. That could be fun. I have no idea. Why am in talks with them more good tones? I don't know what Goon does. I'm not Goon. Like, I don't even work for Ava Labs. I do the best to portray the company honestly, and Goon honestly. He probably does it because they're friends, and they need to support each other because it's a friendly world, and we're all just trying to make things build correctly. But I'm trying to draw a connection here from the stuff that I was talking about earlier, which is the Peter Thiel connection all the way up to the stablecoin stuff. I mean, we've got there's a need here that's going to be filled, right? And there's only one network that can actually support that need. It's Avalanche. It's one technology at least, and with the patent situations being what they are, it's more likely Ava Labs is going to be running that effort. I don't see any other network being able to support this. That's my hope, at least. I don't have inside information, man. Like, I don't have the sweet details. You're not getting some weird secret. There's nothing there. It is. I just wanted to push a button. I just wanted to push that button. I really wanted it. I love that button. This is me just being a conspiracy theorist. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really able to. Okay, that one's a little long. I'm not really able to comment. I don't know the truth of why Goon does anything. I just know that Goon tries to be a friendly and supportive guy to everybody, and he probably likes, he probably just wants to be positive to them. And I don't think Goon's a competitor. Like, we don't have a stable coin. I just think, to me, it looks like there's an opportunity here. That's what I'm pointing out. And it could be a cooperative opportunity where PayPal works with them. Oh, well, don't get me started with IOTA. Look, I support legitimate efforts run by people who are legitimately trying their best to be good at their field. I don't like people who come in and look at people like Goon and say, you don't know what you're talking about, we're smarter than you. And you look at their quals and it's like, no, you're not. You're not even close. And it's marketing. It's posturing. I hate that. I don't like that. I don't have to be nice to everybody. Goon doesn't even have to acknowledge him anymore. He's not doing that. He's beyond that at this point. Not to like push anybody up on a pedestal. Oh, it's too good. No, he really has better things to do with his time. There's no ROI in giving more credence to IOTA than they deserve by having a conversation with them. So, but yeah, where's it going? Oh yeah, apparently Avalanche JS, which I wrote. So, all right, I try and hide this information intentionally. All right, first off, I'm Snowbot. All these commits are me. Second off, Gabriel came in really late, and he also commits more frequently than I do. I would have these huge commits, and he would have a lot of tiny ones. I pretty much wrote all of Avalanche JS. So this is the project I was mostly working on. Yeah. So Avalanche JS has got over 100K downloads, which is pretty cool. Not a lot of stars at Forks there, but apparently it's doing all right. Heard about that. Good to know. People are starting to look at it. I think one of the things I need to do, TypeScript. One of the things I need to do is, by the way, our transaction format is canonical. I'm going to have to go over the transaction format probably tomorrow. because our transaction format is canonical, which means that it can only be done one way. Every transaction can only be one way anytime you make a transaction. All the bits must be in exactly this type of order. There is no gray area. It is always, the transaction must always be this one way. Okay, cool. So it has advantages. Makes it easier to parse a little faster. But almost every tool that's out there. What's that one tool? I forgot about it already. So there's a binary definition system out there already, and it's not canonical. Like it does have things that do. If you do it one way, it'll go. It's not guaranteed to be that way every time. There's non-canonical elements into it. I'm trying to remember what it's called right now. Jeez. So building the binary transactions in Avalanche.js was kind of a pain. So I'll have to go over that at some point because I had to invent a new way of doing it. So it's not the best. I think I could have done something more general, but I did something that got it off the ground. That's good. Yep. Crypto seals hash. So yeah, guys, it's coming towards the end of the show. Yeah, thank you for following XX Oli Murray XX. If you have questions, I have answers. I'm happy to talk and give you guys any sort of information you want. But I really appreciate you guys watching. I'm not doing this for any other reason than we have a need for content. We have a need for people talking about Avalanche. We have a need for people to explain what we've done. And we have a need for people to really answer the questions in a more interactive way than I think what has been going on before. A lot of the developers of Avalanche have their heads down doing the work that you want, so it's hard for them to just jump out, pull their heads up, and do it. I'm kind of in a very unique situation in that regard. I was a developer on Avalanche, and now I'm detached for it, so I'm one of you guys, but I also have a context that I don't think most people have of why things are the way they are, who to talk to, who's working on what, and why they're working on it. Not only that, but I wasn't just purely development. I interfaced with the business side in Avalanche as well. I interfaced with marketing. You see my articles. I interfaced with comms. I was very much across a lot of territory here. And it was mostly due to the fact that I had the experience to support it. I ran my own business for 4 years. I was the sole lead in developing a project for another 4 years. I was an independent contractor for most of the time I've been a developer. A lot of the things that I could do, I helped a lot of the company, which means that I got a weird perspective on a lot of the things going in. That's why I started this stream, is because it's really helpful for me to start talking so that you guys can know where Avalanche is, what it is, why it is the way it is, and help teach you guys more about the ecosystem in general. That's literally the whole reason I'm doing this. It's not like I'm in this to make a ton of money. That said, smash that like button and subscribe. The reason is because I need to get this social profile up and running. It's not like a self-serving thing. Yes, I am being altruistic. Right now, to be honest with you, my voice is kind of hurting. I've had a sore throat. I'm doing this because I promised you guys I would be here. I do not make money off of this, and I do not intend to. The only way I make money off of this is by helping you guys learn more and get involved in the ecosystem. And if I can help bridge that gap of knowledge, then I'm doing a good thing for my bags. Like, that's the way I get paid, okay? But it's important that I stick to my promises with you guys. So that's why I'm here today. And, I think you guys are really a great audience. I love the fact that I have so many regulars. So please, if you have any questions or need me to answer something or look at it, my DMs are open. Please talk to me. I'll be happy to do whatever I can for you. Tofita theory. Tofita theory. Welcome. welcome to the stream. Welcome to the show. I do this every Tuesdays. I do this Wednesdays, and I do this Thursdays. 3 days a week, 2 hours a day, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, U.S. It's the same as New York City. If you are in GMT 0, it will be 7 p.m. Not accounting for daylight savings time. So I do this 3 days a week. I did an impromptu one on Friday last week because I just wanted to. I wanted to rail against IOTA. That was why I did a stream. But those 3 days are guaranteed. You will get those 2 hours. They're my office hours. We could talk. We could go over things. Tuesdays is Avalanche ecosystem. I go through the news of Avalanche. I theory craft about Avalanche's ecosystem, what we're building, what we need to do better, and then I really give props to the people who are building and help people see them and know that they're in the space. Wednesdays are technicals. Wednesdays is when I get to shine as a developer. It is not the day that I get the most views because it is for a very specific audience. It's the people who want to build and have the technical chops to build. That said, it might be good for anybody to just tune in and keep it in the background so you can understand and maybe start slowly pick up on some of the terminology that we're doing. You'd be shocked what you might actually learn. I very much encourage everybody to participate on Wednesdays. I do think that eventually I'm going to have to slow down on the Wednesday one just because I'll run out of content. We'll see though. Maybe I won't. But right now I'm going to go 3 days a week. Make sure I get the good baseline of data so I can do some A/B testing later. Definitely check out Wednesdays for technicals. And then Thursday is free for all. You want to talk about anything? I want to talk about anything. We can talk about anything. It's complete ecosystem, Bitcoin, Ethereum. It doesn't matter. Talking about the whole thing. I will always try and relate it back to Avalanche. It's just that's just what I'm into. But in general, Thursdays are free for all. I can have any guests I want, any person I want. It's just crypto in general, And I did it this way because I think the broader ecosystem is necessary for the conversation. You can't just talk about Avalanche all the time and ignore the fact that Bitcoin exists and ignore the fact that Ethereum exists. You can't ignore the fact that Polkadot is doing something or whatever. So it's a good chance to sort of tie it all together and show the bigger picture and come with really look at the cryptocurrency space more gestalt and have people sort of recognize that there are talented individuals in other networks as well, and also just see how we can bring them in a more inclusive way. So that's my Thursday stream. Today's killing me though. I don't know what happened. I woke up with a sore throat, so made it through. I did promise you guys 2 hours. You're getting your 2 hours, and I really appreciate you guys showing up. Again, anytime you want to reach out to me, you've got me on Twitter DMs. You've got my socials in the bottom of the Twitch chat. I do clips and highlights on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter. Anything you could do to help boost the stream numbers, please do it. I hope you guys really are enjoying this. I'm enjoying it, and this is what I want to do. It's hard to talk for 2 hours. I have the talent for it. Yep, so 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Eastern Standard Time. So New York City time. That'll be 7 p.m. GMT 20. That'll be 1900 GMT 20. Not accounting for daylight savings time. So if that changes, this will change as well. But yeah, it's every day. I do this time frame for a specific reason. I don't want to ignore the people in Europe. I don't want to ignore the people in Western Asia. I don't want to ignore the people in West Coast, and I don't want to ignore the people in Australia. I feel like this is kind of in a weird sweet spot of time frames where I can hit exactly my time, so I'm alive and alert, and I can also give an opportunity to people who are really enthusiastic in other countries to participate in the stream as well. So if you have friends in other areas of the world, feel free to link them to my chat. It is English only, but this is why I picked this time frame. It wasn't because I thought it was optimal for the New York City time. If I did, I would probably pick 7 p.m. I'd probably get more viewers, or on their drive home or something like that, whatever. But I picked a time frame that I think would help the most people globally. I do think this is a global initiative, and I want everybody to understand that even though we might have some barriers to entry into third world with staking amounts, these are things that I think will be resolved eventually. And, you know, I really want this level of participation. I want, you know, Nigerians to be able to watch me as well, live on the stream. You know, I want the whole world to be able to participate in what I'm doing right now. So share, like, subscribe. I appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you, Tofita Theory, for subscribing. You are a huge, huge asset. Welcome to the crew. Appreciate you, and I'll see you guys mañana.
It's over 9,000!
Continuité d'homme.